Who has been the richest human in all of history? When we talk about extreme wealth, we often think of today's billionaires, people who accumulate sums so enormous they almost seem unreal. To put it in perspective, an average worker would need millions of lifetimes to reach Elon Musk's fortune. While you hear this, his net worth could have changed by thousands of dollars, up or down, not because he earned it today, but because the value of his companies constantly fluctuates in financial markets. Musk has become the first individual to reach figures approaching $500 billion, driven by companies like Tesla or SpaceX. However, there's an important detail to understand from the start. His wealth is not physical money, nor is it sitting in a bank. It's an estimate based on stocks, expectations, and confidence. And that brings us to the central question of this video. Does being the richest person today really mean being the richest person that has ever existed? To answer that, we need to look back centuries and compare very different contexts. Elon Musk, the 21st century multi-billionaire. Elon Musk represents the model of modern wealth. His fortune is tied to tech companies that promise to change the future. Electric cars, space travel, artificial intelligence, and underground infrastructure. Interestingly, Musk doesn't earn a traditional salary. His wealth grows or shrinks depending on how investors value his companies. In a single day, he can make or lose more money than most people will see in an entire lifetime. This makes his position as the world's richest person extremely volatile. It doesn't depend on factories, land, or mines. It depends on something much more fragile: market confidence. That's why, even though he leads in absolute numbers today, his wealth must be compared to past eras to truly understand if he is the richest in history. Pablo Escobar, when money was paper. Pablo Escobar built one of the most profitable criminal organizations in history. In just a decade, he turned cocaine trafficking into a global network, generating billions annually. Unlike modern billionaires, his wealth wasn't in stocks or bank accounts. It was in cash, tons of physical money that had to be hidden in houses, warehouses, and jungles. He had so much cash that a portion of it was lost each year due to humidity, pests, or simple decay. It's estimated he lost billions without even realizing it. Escobar is remembered not for being the richest in total numbers, but for something unique. No one has ever accumulated so much physical cash in human history. John D. Rockefeller, the man who turned chaos into system. At the end of the 19th century, the oil business was a mess. Small companies competed without rules, prices constantly fluctuated, and there were no clear standards. Rockefeller saw opportunity where others saw chaos. He created Standard Oil and began absorbing competitors, controlling routes, refineries, and prices. He came to dominate almost all refined oil in the United States. His power was so great that the government decided to break up his company. But the plan backfired. Rockefeller kept shares in all the new companies, and his wealth multiplied. At his peak, he controlled a portion of the US economy unimaginable for a single individual today. Beyond money, his greatest legacy was establishing the rules of modern industrial capitalism. Henry Ford, the rich man who created the modern world. Henry Ford understood something no one had seen before. Producing faster not only lowers costs, it also transforms society. With the assembly line, he drastically reduced the time it took to build a car. But his true revolution was social. He increased wages and reduced working hours. This allowed millions of people to buy a car for the first time. Cities expanded, suburbs emerged, and the way people worked and lived changed. Ford didn't just accumulate enormous wealth. He transformed everyday life for millions of people, something few wealthy individuals have ever achieved. Andrew Carnegie, the capitalist who decided to give it all back. Carnegie arrived in the US poor and without formal education. Through hard work and strategy, he built the country's largest steel empire. When he sold his company, he became one of the richest men on the planet. But instead of holding on to his money, he chose to give it away. He funded thousands of libraries, universities, and educational projects. For him, accumulating wealth only made sense if it was later returned to society. With Carnegie, modern philanthropy as a moral responsibility of the wealthy was born. Nicholas II, the rich man who lost everything. As Tsar of Russia, Nicholas II didn't just govern a country. Legally, he owned its lands, resources, and riches. His personal fortune was immense, but his power was disconnected from social reality. While the elite amassed wealth, millions lived in extreme poverty. This inequality ultimately triggered revolution. Within a few years, he went from being one of the richest men in the world to losing everything, including his life. The Rothschilds, when information is worth more than gold. The Rothschild family understood something before anyone else. Money moves faster when information moves first. They created an international banking network capable of transmitting financial data faster than governments. They financed wars, kingdoms, and major projects. For generations, their power didn't rely on one person, but on a perfectly coordinated family structure. As a dynasty, they have had no rivals in history. Jakob Fugger, the banker who moved empires. Long before modern banks existed, Jakob Fugger financed emperors and popes. He lent money for wars, imperial elections, and grand religious constructions. In return, he secured mining monopolies that guaranteed immense wealth. His influence was so great that key religious and political events in Europe were linked to his money. Mansa Musa, the man who devalued gold. Mansa Musa ruled an empire based on the most valuable resource of his time, gold. During his pilgrimage to Mecca, he distributed so much gold that he caused inflation in entire regions for more than a decade. His wealth was so extreme that it could not be hidden without economic consequences. For many, he is the clearest example of absolute material wealth. Caesar Augustus, total economic power. Augustus didn't need banks or companies. He directly controlled provinces, taxes, and resources. In his time, Rome dominated much of the known world. A significant portion of that wealth was under his personal control. In proportional terms, no human has ever concentrated so much economic power. King Solomon, wealth between history and legend. King Solomon represents the ideal of wealth and wisdom in antiquity. Although exact figures are difficult to verify, his commercial and political influence was enormous for his time. He symbolizes an era where wealth and power were practically inseparable. Final reflection: wealth today and tomorrow. After analyzing centuries of history, one conclusion repeats itself. Wealth is not absolute. It is relative. It depends on the historical moment, the economic system, and the rules of the world in which it exists. For thousands of years, being rich meant controlling physical resources: land, gold, metals, food, or armies. Wealth could be seen, weighed, and stored. But over time, that has changed dramatically. Today, much of wealth no longer exists in material form. It lives in data, stocks, algorithms, and expectations about the future. Modern money doesn't represent what someone has. It represents what the world believes they might have tomorrow. That makes it powerful, but also extremely fragile. The future points to even greater concentrations of wealth. Technologies like artificial intelligence, automation, and space exploration promise fortunes never seen before. But they also raise a difficult question. Who will truly benefit from this growth? Throughout history, whenever wealth has been too concentrated, the system eventually reacted, sometimes with reforms, sometimes with crises, and in the most extreme cases, with collapse. Inequality is not just a moral problem, it is a structural one. We are also entering an era where value no longer depends solely on money. Information, attention, and time have become new currencies. In a world overloaded with stimuli, being able to capture millions of eyes can be more valuable than owning gold mines. Perhaps that is why the concept of wealth is changing. It is no longer just about accumulating. It is about enduring, about adapting to systems that change rapidly, protecting oneself from global crises, and maintaining stability in an increasingly unpredictable world. The great dilemma of the future will not be who is the richest, but what we do with the wealth that is created. Will it expand opportunities, reduce inequalities, and improve collective life, or simply reinforce the gaps even more? In the end, money is not an end. It is a tool. And like any tool, it can build or destroy depending on how it is used. History does not remember exact figures. It remembers consequences. And the future will not judge how much we accumulated, but what kind of world we leave behind. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video to watch more amazing content like this.